Hi, welcome to my third book talk. Let me apologize for my voice. I've had laryngitis all week. I have chosen to study the Asian cultural group, and I picked the book So Far from the Sea. The author is Eve Bunting, and the illustrator is Chris K. Silmpiet. In this book, the main character, Laura, and her family are moving across the country from California to Boston, Massachusetts. So they decide to visit her grandfather's grave one last time before they leave. And her grandfather's grave is in Manzanar, which was the site of a Japanese internment camp during World War II. As the family walks around the site, we learn about Laura's father's experience at the camp, where he was brought as a young boy with his parents. One of the most poignant illustrations in the book to me is this one. When the soldiers came to their home, Laura's grandfather told her father to put on his Cub Scout uniform so that they would know they were true Americans and they wouldn't take them. And obviously that did not work. Laura's grandfather died at the camp. The official medical records listed pneumonia as the cause of death, but Laura's father tells her that he began dying the day the soldiers came for them. The title of this book is in reference to grandfather's profession. He was a fisherman, and he was taken away from his boat and from the sea that he loved. The illustrator does an excellent job of capturing the essence of the camp. Whether it's from the family's current perspective, which is the year 1972, or in the black and white photographs that depict the time when the family was living there in the 1940s. Today, Manzanar is a National Historical Site. Eve Bunting is a master storyteller and has written over 200 books for children. Her stories span many different cultural groups and topics. She was born in Ireland and retains the Irish traditions of storytelling. Even though she's not Asian, she does her research, and I do feel she is qualified to write about this topic. Eve Bunting has won many, many awards for her books, and she does an excellent job of tackling a dark period in our nation's history. She accurately depicts the site of Manzanar, located adjacent to the Sierra Nevada mountains. In the book, Laura's father tells her how he used to watch the mountains change with the seasons. I visited the National Parks website, which features actual photographs from the time the families were living there. The pictures and situations described in this book do seem accurate. On a side note, I discovered a photo gallery by the famous photographer Ansel Adams. Mr. Adams was invited to come to Manzanar and take photographs of the camp and its inhabitants. He felt the camps were socially unjust, and although he was not allowed to photograph the guard towers, he took pictures from the guard towers, thereby revealing their existence. In 1944, Mr. Adams actually published his collection of photographs with the title Born Free and Equal, and as you can imagine, this was not well received and quite controversial at the time. So Far from the Sea features a tough subject, and it's not one that I feel many children will know about. I think it's important for kids to know that fear and misinformation breed hatred, and this often leads to the mistreatment of others. I always tell my students that we learn history so we will not repeat the mistakes of the past. There's a lot of fear in the world today, especially of people that are different from us, and I feel this book offers information and insight into the Japanese internment camps, but it also offers a message of forgiveness. Laura's father tells her that there was a lot of anger then, a lot of fear, but it was more than 30 years ago, Lori. We have to put it behind us and move on. All right, part 2. I would like to introduce a new book to you all. The title of this book is So Far from the Sea, and the author is Eve Bunting, and the illustrator is Chris K. Silmpiet. So take a look at the cover. What do you notice? Do you see the people's faces? What emotion do you see on their faces? If you think they look sad, you're right. The family is visiting a place that is very sad for them to see. Do you notice these characters on the statue? Do you have a guess of what language that might be? Well, in this story, Laura and her family, Laura's the one in the blue jacket, they visit a place called Manzanar. And I bet you've never heard of it. Manzanar is in California. And during World War II, in the 1940s, Japanese Americans were sent to Manzanar and other camps and held there. And they were not allowed to leave. Doesn't that sound terrible? Many Americans were afraid of the Japanese Americans because we were at war with Japan. While Laura and her family visit Manzanar, her father tells her what it was like for him and his parents to live there. One thing I think is really neat about this book is the illustrations. The illustrator does some pictures in color, and then some are in black and white. Do you have any idea why the illustrator would do the pictures like that? Well, you should read So Far from the Sea to find out. It's a great book.